Hello everybody, my name is Ifan and this is 360 Degree Mastery. This is the channel where we teach you personal effectiveness, self-mastery, and how to make and manage lots and lots of money, how to grow your wealth. A friend of mine came into my office a couple of days ago, an old friend, and we got talking. Somewhere along the line, the conversation turned towards a mutual friend that we had growing up, and this friend of mine asked me if I had seen the fellow recently. I told him that I had, and he went ahead and he made a very interesting statement. He said, God must have really blessed the guy. Now, I found this statement intriguing, so I asked him, I said, what do you mean by that? And he said that God must have really prospered him because the guy is very wealthy. He just came back from a trip abroad with his family where he went for holidays, and he recently bought the latest model of one of these expensive Japanese cars. I was very amused by this guy's utterances, and what I did not tell him was that this same friend that he was talking about had approached me some time before to arrange for credit financing with which to pay back some loans that he had been carrying for some time, and at which his banks were calling in. Okay, which makes me wonder, our indices for measuring wealth in this part of the world, why are they so wrong? They are wrong because our indices, the standards by which we measure wealth, are material based instead of being value based. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you 4 indices for measuring wealth in this part of the world, in this country, which are entirely wrong. Okay, now the first one is vacations abroad. Okay, now a vacation abroad is not an indication of wealth. If anything, a vacation abroad is a rite of passage, is a requirement. I believe that everybody should travel abroad, should find time to travel out of his country, out of his comfort zone, even if it is for a few days, even if it's for a couple of weeks. If you can go with your family, all well and good. When you do that, that does not mean that you are rich, because the cost of traveling abroad is very high. Some people go and borrow money just to be able to travel abroad, and then when people see you, people assume that you have arrived, people assume that you are doing well. Even you yourself, you may believe that you are doing well, that you are on your way to wealth because you have traveled abroad. That is not an index for measuring wealth. The second one is number of cars. If you walk by somebody's compound and you see a number of cars in the compound, you automatically assume that that person is rich, or that person is wealthy, or that person is successful. The number of cars you own does not mean that you are wealthy. It is not an indication of your wealth. If anything, like I teach in my classes, the more cars you have, the greater your liabilities are. The number of cars you have does not indicate how much you are worth, because those cars are definitely not worth exactly the same amount you bought them when you did buy them. So it is not a good store of wealth, and it is not a good way of measuring wealth or measuring riches. The third index for measuring wealth, which is wrong, is houses and landed property. A lot of people fall prey to the trend that is going around now. It has been going around for at least the past 15-20 years. When you make some money, you are advised to automatically buy land. Now, buying land, while it is a good investment for the most part, if you do not go about it properly, if you don't go about it the right way, you probably end up buying liabilities for yourself. That you own a lot of houses does not mean that you are wealthy. That you own a lot of land does not mean that you are wealthy. That was an index for measuring wealth in the agrarian age. We have gone past the agrarian age. Right now we are in the information age, we're in the technology age, and houses and landed property, especially if those houses or if those buildings are not being used for business purposes, if they are not being given out as rental properties to generate income, to generate cash flow, is not a good way to measure wealth, or it is not a good indicator of wealth. Okay, now the fourth index for measuring wealth that is wrong is monthly salary. Okay, your monthly salary, no matter how high it is, does not mean that you are wealthy. Okay, when you get your monthly salary, that money goes into your income statement. It does not go into your balance sheet. What goes into your balance sheet is what is left after you have paid your bills, after you have serviced your loans, after you have settled your debts. Whatever is left If you choose to invest it in seeds that will make you money, it goes into your balance sheet. But if you spend all your monthly income on expenses and on frivolities, on buying luxuries, then it means that you are not wealthy. I tell people there is a difference between income statement affluent and balance sheet affluent. Income statement affluent means that you are earning a lot of money at the end of the month, but that does not necessarily mean that you are rich, because the day that income goes, the day that job goes, then you are going back to zero. You might even be going back to less than zero, because you might have a pile of debt mounting up, behind you that you have no way of paying off. Okay, I tell people that the real way to measure wealth is to look at your assets, or to look at your equity, or to look at your capital, which is what? Your total assets minus your total liabilities. That is what gives you your equity. My name is Ifan, and this is 360-degree mastery. If you have been measuring wealth according to these 4 indices, which is your ability to travel abroad, the number of cars you own, your houses and landed property. Those houses and landed properties could actually be liabilities to you, because when you buy land, you have to obtain a C of O, you have to develop it, you have to clear it, you have to spend money to keep land grabbers from getting to it. And even after you build, if you are not living in the house, it is a liability to you. If that house is not being rented out, it's a liability to you. If you build a house in an area that has no commerce or that has little population, that house is a liability to you, and it is deducting from your bottom line. My name is Ifan. If you agree with this video, please go ahead and leave a comment in the space below. If you have anything to add, please just go ahead and leave a comment. My address, my website address is there on the bottom of the screen. I always put it up. You can follow me on social media, or you can just go to my YouTube channel, log on to YouTube and type the 360-degree mastery and subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell. That way you will know when new videos are coming out. My name is Ifan, and this is 360-degree mastery. I wish you a happy and prosperous week ahead. Namaste.